What's good, everybody? It's your man Bill saying, how y'all doing? Welcome. I really want to know podcast, man. What's happening out there? Like I said, man, I'm trying to do at least one live a week, maybe like Monday or Tuesday, somewhere in there. Trying to get done. A lot to do today, a lot going on. I learned today that the secondary watch, like timepiece market, jewelry, watches, and stuff like that, bro, it is definitely not a seller's market. Seller's market. It's a buyer's market. I was out pricing some of the timepieces, like, all right, let's move some cash around. Yeah, maybe not a great time to sell. If you're holding on to a timepiece, you might want to hold on to it for a little bit longer. But that's another conversation for another day. Today, we're going to be talking about feminism. I thought there were only 3 waves of feminism. Apparently, there's 4 and about to be 5. Who knew? I didn't. Let's get into it. And we are live. What's good, y'all? Welcome to the I Really Want to Know podcast, y'all. Get some indeed, man. So, man, we're here to talk about it, man. We're talking about feminism, talking about the different waves of feminism. We spoke on this before, maybe a year or so ago, but I wanted to jump into it because, this stuff is mainstream, man. Like, you look at what's going on out here in the dating world, and man, a lot of guys are going, if not full blown MGTOW, like going their own way. There's a lot of guys who are just, sitting on a bench right now. They called their own number. They taking they coming out, man. They called the TO. They coming out. They sitting on the bench. They're not playing. There's a lot of dudes not engaging, and women are talking about it. So, definitely, something to talk about. We got brother Michael Lee in the building. What's good, fam? Wrong button. Good to see you, fam. I keep hitting the wrong button. There we go. Keep hitting the wrong button. I'm getting better, but I'm still a little rusty. So good to see you, bro. So, yeah, man, we're going to be talking about the pending 5th wave of feminism, which I believe is going to resemble traditional female gender roles. That's what I think. And in other words, I think feminism is a full circle. It's going to go. It's like on its way back to going full circle, which makes sense to me. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Life is results driven, and, the hardcore feminists, bro, now it's later in life and they're mad, man. They're like upset, mad, maybe disappointed because it didn't go the way they thought it was going to go. We got Mandrill in the building. What's good? What's happening, bro? Appreciate you, man. Oh, and Mandrill, man, that brother Jeff, man, from the other live that we did, he shot a comment, man. He shot a comment, and then I reached out to him on Instagram. So trying to work it out, man. Trying to get him on here because you kept saying, get that brother on here. I'm like, bro, it's going in the right direction. Like we're definitely, I hit him up on his Instagram. He commented on the live. So definitely working on getting him over here, bro. So, and then also I did reach out to the sisters from the podcast that we were reacting to, and haven't heard back, but I haven't given up. Hopefully we can get Jeff, and then he'll, help us get the ladies to come over, and then we can, maybe get 2 for 1, which would be great. Those would be 2 separate shows, by the way. I wouldn't run them together. I wouldn't do that. We'll do 2 separate shows, but yeah, man. Getting back into this is just doing our thing. Again, if we're only doing 1 live a week, I mean, it is what it is. I'm gonna try to figure it out to where we can do at least 2. School's going to start pretty soon. My daughter's schedule is about to really kick up. So I'm just going to have to figure it out, man. It's like we do figure it out. Man, I forgot to put on my Elena's hat. Normally I'm wearing my Elena's hat to support my man's cigar lounge, Real Ghost and Cigar Lounge. Elena's Lounge had a casino night Saturday night, just past Saturday. I couldn't attend. I was working late. I didn't get home until 12:30, 12:45 a.m. But when I have to drive by the lounge on my way home, and man, it was still cars there. You know, looking at Will's post on Instagram, it's like, bro, it was fire. They had the casino tables, man, like roulette, blackjack. You know what I'm saying? They had it looked really nice. So shout out to Don DeMarco, to Will and them for making that happen, man. And definitely gonna make it to the next one. Don DeMarco. You guys are ever in Tampa? If you're ever in Tampa, you want to holler at me? I'm at Elena's Cigar and Hookah Lounge. That's where you can find me. If you come to Tampa, you're looking for me, just pull up there and you will see me. If I'm not there, ask somebody, they'll call me. And I'll pull up because I don't live far. So from that spot. So that's what we doing, bro. That's what we doing. We got Brother Jay in the building, man. What's good, fam? What's good, fam? Good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping in here, man. So yeah, let's just jump in here, man. Let's start from the very beginning. Like what are the different waves of feminism, bro? And that's one of the things you're right, man. They're not trying to have babies. They want to have families. They want a certain type of guy to have said family with. That's what's going on. And again, this is why I think fifth wave is gonna look a lot like traditional norms, and we're gonna get into that. But you know, it's like it says like they're not trying to have babies, but some of them are. I mean, it depends on the dude. It really does. It depends on the dude. So I mean, bro, it is what it is. So I found this article. It talks about the different waves of feminism, and it's Human Rights Careers. That's the website. It's linked in the description below if you guys want to go check it out for yourself. I don't know if we'll read the whole thing, but it makes you. Or just about to say, ain't gonna let me get at this. I'm not trying to join your thing. Definitely need to get an ad block. Y'all told me that so long ago, man. So types of feminism, bro. Feminism, one of the oldest movements in global history. There is no single definition, but feminism boils down to ending gender discrimination and bringing about gender equality. Within this goal, there are many types of feminism. Instead of describing them in isolation from each other, feminism can be divided into waves. So we kind of understand that, man. And it's funny, like reading that description, that's kind of the same thing as the manosphere, right? Like it's just the manosphere is online, and it's just a loose affiliation of all these different male improvement groups, and then male centric and that kind of stuff in one space. So yeah, but we all get it. People understand pretty much what feminism is about. You know what I mean? It really started with the abolition of slaves. That's where it all kicked off. These women were working hard because it was against God's laws, what was going on in America, and they worked hard and they took risks and they took chances, and finally abolition became a thing. And when it was time to actually sign petitions and do stuff like that, the husbands who didn't care at first, who got involved later, did not allow the women to sign. And then that led to, no, we need our own rights. That led to the whole feminist thing, which is crazy. If the men had just let the women sign the abolitionist documentation, maybe we wouldn't be here right now. You know what I mean? Who knows? But, I remember I was watching some historical footage on it. I read a little bit about it, and I was like, wow, I didn't realize that that's where the seeds of feminism started. But it continues. The wave metaphor is the most common explanation from feminism movements, though it is not without flaws. It can oversimplify or complicate history of values, ideas, and people that are often in conflict with each other. With the simplification, one might think feminism or feminism's history is a straightforward arc. The reality is much messier. There are many sub-movements building on and fighting with each other. That's interesting. That being said, the wave metaphor is a useful starting point. It doesn't tell the whole story, but it helps outline it. There are 4 waves. So, all right. So they agree that there are 4 waves. I thought it was 3. I thought it was 3 waves. I thought it was like, oh, we had 3 waves of feminism. That's what I thought it was. I understood the first wave, right to vote. Second wave came around, like, my body, I want control of my body, parity at work, want to be able to go to work, that type stuff. And that was the second wave, was being able to work. I think third wave was I want to control my body. Fourth wave, I don't know. So we're about to find out. We're gonna see how much I knew and what I knew at the time. You know what I mean? We're gonna see. We're gonna see. So let's continue. The first wave in the late 19th century was not the first appearance of feminist ideas, but it was the first real political movement for the Western world. In 1792, Mary Wollstonecraft published a revolutionary vindication of the rights of women. In 1848, about 200 women met in a church. I heard about this story. They came up with 12 resolutions asking for specific rights, such as the right to vote. Reproductive rights also became an important issue in early feminists. After years of feminist activism, Congress finally passed the 19th Amendment in 1920 and gave women the right to vote. This was almost 30 years after New Zealand became the first country where women could vote. So, New Zealand led the way. Huh. I heard about the story with the church. That was a dangerous night from the story that I read. Those women had really put themselves at risk, and that led to women eventually getting the right to vote. Uh, First wave feminism had a fairly simple goal. The society recognized that women are humans, not property, while the leaders of the first wave feminism was abolitionists. Their focus was on white women's rights. The exclusion would haunt feminists for years to come. Huh. Hmm. But I knew about the abolitionist thing. And I mean, it is what it is. That's where it came from. So that was the first wave, and you think way back in the day, basically the women's, the women's right to vote, women's rights to vote. Um, so there you have it. That's the first wave, and I think most people understand that. I think when people think of first wave feminism or feminism in general, they think about all women's right to vote, but it didn't end there. Um, it's just like, hey, people are doing their thing. This is a great thing, by the way. We're all humans in a society. I think we all should be looked at equally in the eyes of the law. I'm definitely not on board with, you know, this half of society has these rights. Well, this half of society doesn't. That's why I have a lot of problems with what's going on in the family law system. That's why I have, I don't think that family law should be such. I don't think it should be considered that, especially when you're going in dealing with custody and stuff like that. Especially people who've never been married. Like you have a child, but you've never been married, and you go into court. I mean, dudes understand that it's a really good chance that they're not gonna get their child. Like you can't. It's really difficult. I'm not gonna say difficult, but I think it is. But it's really unusual for men to be named custodial parent of a child. It's almost always gonna be the woman, and this is again supposed to be under the eyes of the law. There's no justice in that. There's nothing. It doesn't make sense, right? If the goal is to place the child in the care of the parent or put the child in a situation that's best for the child, this is what's in the best interest of the child. We should be looking at both men and women, and then you should also be looking at the stats out there. And they don't. They just like mom's gonna be custodial parent, and then you start looking at how we're gonna pay child support, which again, that it should be a baseline. It should be, this is how much you get. This is how much it costs to raise a child in America in your zip code. This is how much. So all we're going to discuss is how much of that do you get? I believe it should be 50-50. Yeah, two people had a kid, they never been married, it should be 50-50. There should be nothing to talk about. It's a 50-50 split. And this is how much it costs to raise a child in your zip code or in your state, whatever. So if you're in California, it's going to cost this much money, and you're going to pay half of it. So, and just to make up numbers here, we could look it up, but just to make up numbers, and the government knows how much it costs to raise a child everywhere in America. The most expensive place to raise a child in America is Hawaii. And then you look at like California and New York, and we're talking about the states. California and New York come in, I think, or in the top 5, but I think Connecticut's in there. Like it's a lot of expensive places. But let's say that it costs from age 0 to 18, it costs, let's say, $300,000 to raise that child wherever you live. That's according to the government stats, and it's the Department of Agriculture that does the study. So let's just say, we're just making up a number. Let's say it's $300,000 over an 18-year period. Each parent should be responsible for $150,000. Simple as that. That is the max child support either parent would have to pay, right? $150,000 over 18 years. So, let's do the math real quick. Again, we're just making up the numbers. $150,000 divided by, how would we do that? How do we get to 150,000 over 18 years, guys? Where my math people at? How do we do that? Let me do it the other way. I'll divide it. I know what to do. I know what to do now. Now I'm thinking. A second. So that'd be $12,500 a year, and you divide that by 12. So yeah, your max child support would be $1,041 a month, right? And that should carry you pretty much through almost 46 to 48 states. You know what I mean? So your max payout should be, let's just call it $1,000, right? Be $1,000 a month for 18 years. That's your half of the child support. Now, again, we're not going to go way into the weeds on this, but we're just basically saying we're assuming that both parties have insurance and all that kind of stuff. So like let's say both parents are equally yoked financially. Let's say they're both making slightly above the median income. So that would be the max. So child support should be maxed. Let's say that you're on the other end of the spectrum. Let's say that both parents are making, maybe $25,000 each. Well, then that parent wouldn't be paying the max. That parent would be paying a percentage of what they make, right? But there should be max. You shouldn't have people out here paying $30,000 a month in child support. It's just, no. And then that's unchecked, right? Like you don't even get to figure it out. So again, I just went off on a tangent, but that's my thing. If the feminists really cared about equality and justice, they would really hate what's going on in the family court system. It's terrible. And here's the thing. I believe their women are soon to fight. They're soon going to come together and fight what's going on in the court system with reference to child custody and support and all that. Spousal support, which is alimony, child support, because women are beginning to out-earn men. So now that you have these young women out earning these dudes, they're going to, they want to have a baby, they slip up, whatever, they have a kid, they go to family court, and the court makes the woman pay the guy child support because she makes more than he does. And, or they got married. Like, look at Cassie. Was it Cassie Ventura? That's her name that was in the whole Diddy thing, right? So, Cassie walked away with $30 million after this whole trial thing, right? She's married to a dude who used to be her personal trainer. Now, we know he ain't swimming in money. So and they've been married for a little bit, if I understand this correctly. So if there's no prenup, which there probably isn't because she didn't have money like that. She's probably was struggling. He was like supporting her. They got together, having a family, whatever. Well, now she's worth $30 million-ish, let's say. If they get divorced, she's going to lose half that, right? They got kids. They got a kid on the way. She was pregnant when she was on the stand. He's probably going to wind up at least getting 50-50 custody, if not full custody, because she's the one out, running around, taking meetings, doing all this stuff. There's a good chance that he would get spousal support, child support, and if there's a home involved, like get the house and all this kind of stuff. So now the women have become more empowered and women are making more money, which is great. Women are out here killing it, doing their thing. Amazing. I'm not saying they shouldn't. I think that's a great thing. They've made themselves alphas, right? And alphas do, the head of the household, alpha, they're paying for everything. They have to provide this life. And now that they have to provide the life and they fall in love with some dude who doesn't make as much as they do because not every man is making the kind of money that they want. We've done the numbers, maybe less than 8% of men are tall enough, wealthy enough, handsome enough, charismatic enough, funny enough to where all these women want them. You dig? So it's one of those things. Like she's not going to be able to get that guy, so she goes and gets whoever she gets. He's doing the best he can to support her. He's at home. He's keeping the place clean, watching the kids, doing all this kind of stuff. She just finally finds a dude who makes a little bit more, that she likes, is taller, that's funnier, that has a little bit more money. She wants to divorce the guy she's with. And now she loses the house, right? Loses half of her Kelly and her Birkin collection and her Chanel collection. She loses half of her pension. All that goes to him. And once that starts happening to these young, upwardly mobile, brilliant young women who are making all this money, they are going to want to change the laws. Simple as that. So that's my, sorry for the long spiel, guys, but that stuff just drives me crazy. The way we handle this. And when I talk to women who are self-proclaimed feminists and they tell us, we only want what's right. We're not just looking out for women. We're looking out for all people. Word. Let's talk about this. And then they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. Second wave feminism took place in the 60s and 70s. It's built on first wave feminism and challenged what women's role in society would be, inspired by the civil rights movement, the protests against the Vietnam War. Activists focused on institutions that held women back. This meant taking a closer look at why women are oppressed. Traditional gender and family roles were questioned. Queer theory became more established. There were major victories in this era, including the Equal Pay Act of 1973, Roe versus Wade, 1973. So I'm sorry, Equal Pay Act in 1963, Roe versus Wade, 1973, and other Supreme Court cases. So that was second wave. In the workplace, we want to get out of the kitchen. We're tired of being barefoot and pregnant. We want opportunities, want to be able to have our own, accounts, like, bank accounts, credit cards, sign our own loans and sign our own, be our own business people. I think that's a great thing. I do not have a problem with that. I think that's a great thing. Right. And then they, kind of piggybacked on the civil rights movement. Again, my ancestors here in America, I'm descendant of slaves. Absolutely. There were certain things we couldn't do with the redlining and, being attacked and oppressed, and we couldn't get those jobs. So absolutely, let's go make that happen. I'm glad it worked out for them. So the Equal Pay Act of 1963, Roe v. Wade. Of course, we all know what Roe v. Wade is. That gives them the opportunity of the ultimate. Because you can't say the A word. So, stopping pregnancies, right? Roe v. Wade, which has been challenged and continues to be challenged, and now you got in certain states you can't do it. But let's continue. Three main types of feminism emerged: mainstream, liberal, radical, and cultural. Mainstream feminism focused on international reforms, which meant reducing gender discrimination, giving women access to male-dominated spaces, and promoting equality. Radical feminism wanted to reshape society entirely, saying that the system was inherently patriarchal and only an overhaul would bring liberation. It resisted the belief that men and women were basically the same. I'm sorry, it resisted the belief that men and women, I must be pronouncing that word wrong. Sorry, guys. Y'all know I can't read. Cultural feminism has similar view and taught that there were female essence that's distinct from men. So, that women and men are basically the same in the eyes of the law, yes, but we both know that men are stronger and all that kind of stuff. Men and women are different. In the eyes of the law, they should be, looked at as the same. So you had like you had the hardcore feminists who were like, no, we want to redo society completely. And, you had other people who were just kind of like, well, we want to talk about the female essence. But the big thing is, like, with the mainstream feminism focused on institutional reforms, they want women to be able to go out and get jobs that men can get. They want more access to male-dominated spaces. But that was really a push for corporate, right? It was really a push for corporate. They wanted to go get those white-collar jobs, They wanted to be able to, get the CEO, CFO, all that kind of stuff. It was never a push to have, females doing some of these dangerous jobs, that these essential jobs that men have to do. Like, there's no big push to have, women didn't want to go down into the sewers and clean that stuff out. Women did want to be firemen. They wanted to be, or firefighters. They wanted to be law enforcement. But now you're looking at, well, you're going to have lower the standards. I have 2 standards because, to be a firefighter, you have to be able to carry people up and down a ladder, drag people out of dangerous situations. And it's like, well, physically, most women can't do that. Right. That's why, like, men and women are the same. Yeah, in the eyes of the law. But when it comes to having to drag someone out of a burning building, most women just physically can't do that. Not on their own. Maybe if you get 2 or 3 women that can kind of do it. So that was the whole big push. Now you got female firefighters, you got female law enforcement personnel, you got female paramedics, first responders, which, again, my thing on that is there should be one standard. If you meet the standard, then good, cool, let's go. Like in the military, we want female rangers. That's fine. Meet the standard. You want a female Green Beret? Fine. Meet the standard. You want female paratroopers? No problem. Meet the standard. You got to do the same thing the men have to do. You got to do, I think back then it was like 5 or 10 pull-ups. You had to do so many push-ups. And, you had to be able to do a 2-mile run in a certain amount of time to be a paratrooper. If you can do that, let's go. Airborne. But we know that the average woman can't do these certain things. They don't have the strength. Some can. So now you have this push to, we need females in this field. So we're going to change the certification process. We're going to change the requirements so we can get them in there. And I think that does women a disservice. It definitely does feminism a disservice if they were truly trying to get equality, because it just say, hey, there's only so many women that can do that. The percentage of women that will be able to go through Ranger school, right? It was only a handful of women will be able to do that. They said they've pushed through, I don't know, 3 or 4 women. I don't know how many, but there's supposed to be female Rangers out there. But just talking to people who know, they're like, nah, man, it was different standards. Like, and I'm talking about the scrolled out Rangers, like the dudes in the regiment. Like, what they go through is crazy. It's crazy. I know someone who went through it, and they're like, bro, it's insane. So there's no way that there was a female soldier who was able to go through what those Rangers went through to qualify, and become Rangers, to get, an invitation to join the regiment. There's no way. There's no way, bro. I'm not saying that there's no way a woman could ever do it, but the women, first of all, you got to want to do it as a female. You got to want to do that. And Ranger school, the leadership course, the tab, that's something different. And even that's difficult. That's really difficult. So, you're just not doing anybody any favors by cutting corners and changing requirements, because you're not really the thing. You're not really the thing. So that's the second wave. Second wave feminism, they wanted to get into the workplace. Okay. They want to dismantle the male dominated spaces. Okay. And then some more radical feminists wanted to just reset all of society and just say men and women are equal in all facets, which isn't true. It simply isn't true. If men and women were equal, then there wouldn't be any need for female sports, right? This is a perfect way. Like, I was watching the clip when Myron Gaines was talking about this. He was on one of the Black podcasts. He was on Anton Davis's show, panel, bunch of women on the panel. Myron was there, and he was like, look, if men and women were equal, there would be no need for a WNBA. Just get the best female basketball player, and she can get into the NBA. But she can't compete. Can't do it. Not fast enough, not strong enough, not big enough. Can't do it. Can't compete with those men. The same would apply for soccer or football, whatever you want to call it. We call it soccer here in the U.S. Baseball, all that. The reason we have these sports for women is it's cool to let women compete with each other at the highest level. but they can't compete with men. Right? You can't have a male boxer fight a female boxer. That ain't fair. Like same thing with wrestling. It just isn't fair. So it just doesn't work that way. So men and women aren't equal. Like we should be seen equally in the eyes of the law. Here in America, I agree with that. But as far as saying we're equal, you get get a woman in her 50s and have her compete against me in my 50s with all my aches and pains and everything. She can't compete with me. And some people are like, well, I'll get a former athlete. Get her. She still ain't going to be able to compete with me. Right? I mean, time does this damage to all of us, bro. So that's something that the feminists need to accept. Third wave feminism. Thanks to the institutional victories of the second wave feminism, women enjoy more rights and power going into the 1990s. They were able to think about other aspects of their identity, welcoming individuality and rebellion. This was an era of reclaiming important cultural touchstones, which include Eve Ensler's the Foxy Brown monologues. I don't know if I say the vajayjay if I get in trouble. So the Foxy Brown monologues, y'all can see it there. I'll only pull this up. Let me make this bigger. My bad. So y'all can read along. There we go. The sexuality and how they spoke, dressed, and acted. This sometimes bewilders second wave feminists, many of whom had resisted traditional femininity, while many ideas and many movements swirled around in this time. The one rule was that there weren't rules. That was the one rule, right? The one rule is there are no rules. That's crazy. A woman should choose how she lived her life. Okay, so that's third wave. And I wonder if the whole LGBTQ thing gets in there, like with the queer and trans and all that. I wonder if that's when that jumps in there. Is that third wave? Let's see. Third wave feminism also become more conscious of race. Okay, so all right, they become more conscious of race. Kimberly Crenshaw, a gender and critical race scholar, coined the phrase intersectionality in 1989. The term refers to how different kinds of oppression, like those based on gender and race, intersect with each other. While mainstream first and second wave feminism had largely ignored or neglected racial disparities within gender, the third wave paid more attention. The phrase third wave feminism was coined in 1992 by Rebecca Walker, a 23-year-old Black bisexual woman, when the internet became more commonplace. It was even easier to hear perspective and ideas from feminists around the world. Feminism was expanding. All right, so that's the third wave. First wave, right to vote, want to be seen as human, and women are human. We have a voice, we have a right. We need to be able to vote and participate. Second wave, want to get into the workplaces, and we want to bust up the male dominated spaces, and I am woman, hear me roar. Cool. And that also had control of your body and all that, with birth control and contraception and the option being able to delete an unborn child. Third wave, now we get into race. And basically you should be able to live how you want to live, irregardless of traditional norms and whatnot. All right. So I didn't know there was a fourth wave, and this is the fourth wave is here. I didn't know there was a fourth wave. Some people think we're still in the third wave of feminism, since the fourth isn't so much as a shift in the continued growth of the movement. However, with the Me Too movement and the resurgence of attacks on women's rights, many believe we're living in a new wave. Social media activism has propelled and movement firmly into the technological age. So yeah, that's it. The tech is here, so everything is being moved online. That makes sense. It builds on the third wave's emphasis on inclusivity and asks hard questions about the empowerment, equality, and freedom. What do they really mean? All right. So maybe this fourth wave isn't accepted. maybe the fourth wave isn't, like a thing. Maybe people just kind of talking about it, but I get it. I would say that just looking at that real quick, that paragraph, the fourth wave, technology has taken everything to, like social media and all that. So now your online presence and how you act and whatever, and because a lot of people will be more comfortable with, calling you this or that, right? Using the N word or, calling women bad names or whatever, because you're protected. Most folks don't put their face out there. I'm one of the content creators who do. I take that chance, put my face out there, say what I'm gonna say. But a lot of people, they hide behind their emojis and all that kind of stuff. Those keyboard warriors saying what they want to say, and all that hate spills out, and you wonder, like, do they really mean this hate? Or is this something they're just trying to vent, like, or they just trying to troll, like, whatever, you don't know. So it continues, fourth wave feminism continues to reckon with intersectionality. Critics of white feminism, which ignores the unique struggles of women of color, expose how non-white feminists and ideas have been and continue to be suppressed. So now you got the race thing within the feminist movement. They're separating the white feminists from the women of color feminists. Wow, that's crazy. Wow. Okay, so if you're not white, the people of color, their ideas get suppressed, huh? Here it is, trans rights. Trans rights are a big part of the conversation too. Feminism has often been an unwelcoming and hostile place for trans women and others who reject the gender binary. Many fourth wave feminists are working to combat this exclusion. As with every wave before it and any wave that comes after it, the fourth wave is a complex. The fourth wave is complex. It's because they're making it complex. It encompasses many movements that both complement and clash with each other. The tensions is unavoidable. While some types of feminism can have harmful impacts, having a variety of voices makes feminism more inclusive and successful. All right, there you go. That's the four waves of feminism. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that seems kind of confusing. I understand the first wave, right to vote. I understand the second wave. We want to get into the workspace and, that whole I am woman, hear me word thing. But, third, fourth, it just seems like there's nothing else to fight. There's nothing left to fight for. It seems that women have won on just about every front. I mean, you think about feminism, you're thinking about fighting for the right to do whatever it is they're trying to do, fighting for the right to get into the workplace, fighting for the rights to have accounts, fighting for your rights to have complete control over your body, your choice, the right to vote. All that stuff, it seems like they were successful on all fronts. So that's the first and second wave. Now you get into the third and fourth wave. There's nothing left to fight for, right? So third wave, what are they talking about? Racial inequalities. Well, we got civil rights movement for that. We got, stuff on the books for that. That's always been a thing. That's over there. No. We need that over here within the female movement. Why? Right? And then that moves into the fourth wave, which is what else do you want? Kind of like what Rollo was saying, it gets into superiority at some point. Like, okay, what else do you want? You know what I mean? What else do you want? We got Cody as king in the building. What's good, Cody? I ain't seen you in a minute, bro. Welcome, bro. Let's give you a Don DeMarco because you one of the OGs we ain't seen.
Don DeMarco.
Good to see you, fam. And Cody is saying this always has been just emotional propaganda targeted at women, meant purely for division. Good to see you, man. What's good with you, fam? What's good with you? Hey, bro, that's third and fourth wave. I think you're onto something there, bro. Like Cody might be right with the third and fourth wave of feminism There's nothing left to fight for. So now you get into the whole LBGTQ asterisk exclamation point backslash whatever it is these days. Well, queer people and trans people and this and that. And again, say what you want to say, but you're born the way you're born. You're born with, if you're born with boy parts, then you're a male. Now, once you get here, society says you can do what you want. If you want to dress up like a woman or get surgically altered, cool. That's your business. I say that you can't do that until you're 18, because that's the legal age where you can think on your own. If people want to say it has to be higher, whatever, but I say once you're 18, go ahead and do what you want to do. But while you're a child, from kid, preteen, teen, this is what you think you want, just wait till you're 18 and then save up the money if you really want to do it and then go get the surgery. But by the time you do all that, you might have changed your mind again. So I don't understand what they're fighting about. Women, transgender women are saying we are women, and women are like, no, you're not. That is really that could really hurt what they fought for. You look at, first wave and second wave feminism. Now we have biological men who identify as women. They get surgically altered, but they're still biological men, and they start to compete in sports. This is when you see it like, all right, well, now women can't win in track and field because they're competing against men. They can't win in swimming events because they're competing against men. They can't win in boxing. I think the Olympics, they had a boxer who was, I don't know what the story was with that particular boxer. I don't know if the boxer was born a biological boy or maybe hermaphrodite, whatever that word is when you have both organs, and maybe she had more testosterone because she was more male than female biologically. I don't know, but anyway, they wouldn't let her fight. Women were like, I'm not going to fight that boxer. That boxer is a biological man. I'm not going to fight. If you allow biological men to play in female sports, the females won't have any sports. The men will take over. So when you're talking about trans athletes, I think trans athletes should have their own kind of things. Like we have Olympics for, people who are, like the Special Olympics are for people who have special needs. I think that we should have a trans, Olympic or whatever, where those people who are trans, irregardless of, how you were born, if you were born female, but you identify as male, or born male but identify as female, and you want to compete at that level, they should have their own competition going on over there and let them win their gold medals and do their thing. But women should have a space, biological women should have a space where they get to compete against other biological women. That's my take on it. You know what I mean? That's my take on it. Otherwise, if you don't, you're going to lose the gains that they made with the first wave and the second wave of feminism. They're going to lose those gains. And it's only going to hurt women. And I think that's probably the fight with, you got people in there like, well, you white ladies, y'all got privilege and this and that. That's silly. Y'all women, but okay. Right. Okay. Y'all need to work together. And it's like, well, that's that trans person over there. That is a woman. Like, no, that's a biological male. You let that person compete. They're going to destroy the women. So you got this fight going on. And if the radical feminists are successful and they bring in the biologically born trans female and they make it in law that that's a female, so that now she gets to compete with all of, biologically born females, that trans athlete is going to dominate whatever space they're in. So, and we see it happening right now. So that is, and Cody was saying that the open leagues already exist. There are open leagues out there. Women need to have their own, but I don't know if they have at the highest level. I don't know if if there's like a trans Olympics kind of thing. I don't know. We have to look that one up. But there's nothing stopping a woman from playing in the NBA, or the National Football League or Major League Baseball, probably hockey. There's nothing stopping them. If they can make the team, they in. But they can get hurt on the field. Just like in high school, you see these, it used to be in middle school, there were girls on the football team. In middle school, like big girls, there was a couple linemen, I guess line women. We played, I remember playing them, like it was like, yeah, man, they got a couple girls on the team. They were big girls, and they were out there doing their thing, man. They were deep. One was on the offensive line and one was on the defensive line for the team that we were playing against. And I mean, I didn't compete against these women, but I'm sure our guys on the defensive line and offensive line were taking it easy on them. Because it's not like they came off and like, yo, man, she got game. Nah, they were taking it easy on them. They did what they had to do. So, I remember that game, we ran all day long because she was on the defensive line, man. It was easy to isolate her. Like, boom, man, we were gone all day long. We ran all day. And then our offensive line, the girl who played on the offensive line, I don't remember if we had a lot of sacks that game, but, like, bro, they couldn't. I mean, they were big girls, but they didn't have the speed. They didn't have the strength to deal with us, and we were all preteens. Now you fast forward to high school or college, nah, you're not going to see a female lineman. You'll see maybe a kicker, place kicker. You'll see maybe a quarterback, but the quarterbacks are getting rocked. So it's just hard for women to get out here and compete with men. We're not the same. Like the strength of a male is way different compared to females, man. My brother Cody's like it's a manufactured issue, like making the law that says we need to refer to red as blue and blue. Yeah. Like the sky is purple now. That's the new law. You have to say the sky is purple. The sky is polka dot. Like, nah, it's blue right now. There's some white puffy clouds out there. It was dark blue an hour ago with water falling out of it. It was raining. But, you're right. Something silly and meaningless to distract from all the constitutional violations and other activities going on. There's a lot going on, man. I get you on that, bro. There's a lot going on. A lot of distractions, a lot of smoke and mirrors, bro. There's so much going on down here in the U.S. Can't even keep up with it, bro. Can't even keep up with it. It is so much going on. My big thing is we're going to talk about this hopefully soon. Bro, the economy, man. Down here, bro. Like I said, I went to see a jewelry broker. I was thinking about selling one of my timepieces, and I had a number in my head. Like, that's just what I want for this timepiece. And when I got there, the lady was very nice. She has a nice business, good side of town. I'm over there, and, I have everything. I have all my documentation, all my paperwork, everything, the box, the bag they put in, I got everything. So, and in I take care of my stuff. So, the particular timepiece I took was brand new. And the offer that I was given, she didn't even want to make me the offer. She was just sitting there like, I don't even want to give you this offer. You're going to get mad at me. I'm like, no, it's just business. Because I was talking to her about possibly doing the podcast, not this podcast, but Spoken in Smoke. And she, she was like, oh, well, this is what we can offer you, which was just a little bit over half of what I was. So they wanted to give me basically half of what I was looking for. I'm like, I know the market. I know what the watch sells for, high end and low end. And then what they were giving me was half of the low end. So it's like, that's all right. I'm good. And mind you, it's the first place I stopped. But she was telling me that people are bringing in all sorts of jewelry. She's like, right now, it is definitely not a seller's market. It's a buyer's market. Like, we got so much stuff coming in. I'm like, word? She's like, yeah. So people are feeling the crunch. And that's down here in Tampa. I'm pretty sure the rest of the country is like that. So, our economy is headed for a turn. The housing market, definitely in Florida, the condo market, crashing for real. I give it maybe another month, and then mainstream media will be talking about it all the time. But, YouTube is talking about it constantly right now. The people in the trenches are talking about, like, bro, it's crazy right now. I think I saw something. It was like 25% of the houses was sold down here, condos and houses, townhouses as well, that sold in Tampa, Florida. 25% of those, or maybe just under 25%, sold at a discount. So under the ask. So people are dropping prices like crazy. Yeah, it's buyer's opportunity coming up, man. And when wages are, you're right, man. Wages are not even close to keeping up. I went out and got myself a part-time job. It started out as a part-time job, but I'm working a lot. And I just wanted something that would allow me the freedom to do what I need to do. Like I can't commit to a real job. I need to commit to something that's going to give me the flexibility to do what I got to do. And it's going to have me moving around. Like I'm really moving around a lot and this and that, which is cool. Minimum wage. It is the lowest amount they can legally pay you in the state of Florida, which is $13 an hour, right? It's minimum wage, which keep in mind, way higher, almost double the federal minimum wage, which the government refuses to raise. But when I tell you, bro, when I look at how much people make, it's to your point. No one can afford to live. No one can afford to live, bro. I mean, I'm looking at the management types and, the lower management, middle, and upper management. And I go online to the company's website to see how much these jobs are paying. Bro. It blows my mind. Like, hold on. They paying you 50 grand a year to run this operation? 60 grand a year to run this operation? You don't get into the big money until you get way up there to like the C-level, C-suite. And by the way, the company I work for just announced a new CEO. So, I mean, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy. So, nah, man, you can't live on that. Like, I have pension and I have other streams of income, but I sit around and I wonder. But I mean, we talk about this all the time, man. We talk about how much the median American income is, and like the average American is making between 20. Like, let's look it up. Hold on, let's look it up. Give me 1 second. We're gonna look this up. What is the median income for Americans? Because we're always talking about this. So the median household income in Florida right now is around $72,000. Household, that's at least two people, two earners. That's insane. That's not enough to live on, right? Let's see if we can find what the median is for a U.S. citizen. They have state by state here. California, the median wage in California, $88,000. Colorado, $72,000. Jeez. This is Fidelity, by the way. This is crazy. Average U.S. salary by age, insane. 25 to 34, about $58,000. That's the median or average, actually average. 35 to 44, 69,000. 45 to 54, 71,000. Jeez Louise. So and here's the list by state. Florida, 66,352 is the average. Now, the average is always going to skew higher than the median. The median is like the actual middle. So I like to use median but even with the average, and the average skews high, the average American, bro, is not making nowhere near $100,000 a year. That is crazy. What percentage of Americans make $80,000? 7.61% of Americans earn over $80,000 a year. 7.61%. So round it up, 8% of Americans make $80,000 a year. Bro, I know this drug is off topic, but bro. Right. Bro, look at Cali. Let me find Cali, man. I think I read it. Let me go back and see if I can find it again. Oops, wrong way. Let's see if I can find it for you. Here it is. California, according to Fidelity, $88,088. $88,088 per year. So, and that's the median. So half of people in California make less than that. Half of people in California make more. So that's $88,088, which breaks down to $1,694 a week. That's the median in California. Right? I mean, the whole thing is coming apart at the seams, bro. Like if you got money, you're gonna be good, and if you don't have money, bro, it's gonna be a struggle. What did it take to say years and years ago, 2-3 years ago? Is not the haves and have-nots, it's the have-yachts and the have-nots, and that's where we are right now. So we'll talk about that later. Let me get back to the feminism thing because I do have a video I want us to go over the feminism thing. So the first and second wave of feminism, they made progress. And I think that was the big win for women in America. Third and fourth wave looks like they're going to eat away at those gains that the first and second wave. And now you have these women who are in it. You have all these different factions of feminists in it. And they're sitting around and like, what's going on? Which is going to bring us to the fifth wave of feminism. And I believe the fifth wave of feminism is going to be women who know they can work, who have secured their degree, who have their jobs, but they're going to prioritize family over the career. I think the fifth wave of feminism, the fifth wave feminist is the woman who realized, yeah, I could be a feminist. I've done it. I've proven to myself that I could take care of myself if this doesn't work out. But I'm going to shoot my shot at the top tier guy. But if that doesn't work out, I'm going to marry Bobby. Because Bobby loves me. Bobby's doing everything he can. He's a good dad. Bobby's not making as much as me, but that's fine. And I think that woman is going to get a prenup. And I think that woman is going to make Bobby sandwiches. I think she's going to continue to work, and she's going to work within her family. She's going to have kids and do that. I think that's what the fifth wave of feminism is going to bring. That's what I think. It's not posting your comment. Yeah, I tried this new they got this beta thing, so the comments scroll on the side. You know, Cody, they be coming after you, bro. So make sure if it doesn't post it, let me know and I'll post it. Because I'm seeing it here. I'll make sure I post it. We got brother Dino Dinosaurs in the building. What's good, fam? I mean, DL, bring a no tax state, employers will pay less. Now, here's the thing, man. Greed is what drives corporate America, man. It's just greed. I think that here's my take on that. You need regulations to keep corporations in check. And some people say, well, look, bro, you know, the federal minimum wage is $7.50. Yet this company you're with, you said Florida mandates that their minimum wage is $13 and it's going up. It's $13 a month. It goes to $14 in September. And then a year later, it goes up to $15. So it's like, you see, that's business doing the right thing. It's like, no, that's the state government mandating that businesses pay you more. If there were no minimum wage, businesses would pay you $2 an hour, bro, if they can get away with it. So you got to have oversight. You got to have, you know, regulations that's going to force businesses to do what they got to do. But I think that if we had a tax structure, like in here in America, I don't know how y'all do it over in UK, brother, but here in the US, I think if we did away with the current tax structure, like no more income tax, no need for the Internal Revenue Service to go after Americans, and replace it with a tax on, you know, like a federal sales tax or federal income tax on every good and service in America that Americans buy, I think that would be a good thing. But people say that that's unfair to the poor, which I don't agree with. But I think that, you know, I think that now Americans get every dollar that they earn, and then they can do what they want with that money. You know, in theory, you'll be able to afford your insurance now. You will be able to afford other things. Still won't be able to afford childcare. You're going to need some help with that. Childcare is so expensive. But That's my take on it. I'm trying to find an economist who can break that down and, tell me why I'm wrong. And Brother Cody was like, I was just saying that Cali is raising minimum wage and it still won't be enough. That's a fact. Like Cali's up to $20 an hour. $20 an hour in California is minimum wage, and it's not enough. And people are losing their jobs behind it. Because now the fast food restaurants can't afford to pay you that $20. Like you're paying you 18 for managers and stuff like that now. If you got to pay the person dropping fries at McDonald's $20 an hour, how much you got to pay the manager? So we got a problem, man. Like, the purchasing power of the dollar just is going away, man. The dollar is losing its value. Things are just becoming more expensive. Bro, I don't have the answers either. We got Brother Nitis in the building. With Salute to you, brother. Thank you so much for stopping by, man. Appreciate you, fam. Appreciate you. When people have more money, they can spend more and are more willing to do so because they are not in a state of scarcity. You're right. You're right. Just got to figure out how to get people more money. And, what Trump is doing with the tariffs, and it's like, hey, let's get Americans back to work. Let's have American goods. We're going to make it to where, we want to make it to where people are buying American goods. Bro, in concept, I'm with him 100%. My problem with the way Trump implemented this is he didn't work with the business community to get them ready for this. Like, no one was building the factories. No one was getting, the word like, hey, let's go ahead and put this money in. Let's build this infrastructure and get it ready. Some companies are doing it now, but it's going to take time to get it online. And by the time that they get that thing up and running, the midterm would have come and gone. And the midterm is going to scare a lot of people. So, it is what it is. And a lot of people, they hear me say that. And I'm like, yeah, Trump's idea on bringing American jobs back to America and having factories with American workers and paying people more money, I think in theory, that's a great idea. I understand that that's not going to happen, though, but it's a great idea. People hear that. But see, so you want to make America great again, so you do believe in Trump. Like, nah, Trump don't know what he's doing. But I can look at an idea and it's like, I get where you're coming from. That is a great idea in theory. It's a great idea. I just don't see it working. You know what I mean? It just, this way, like you can't roll it out in this method. Trump has access to the elite class. If he wants to, he can start twisting their arms and getting them to do things. And maybe he will. He passed his big, beautiful bill, and then right away he was saying, oh, we're not going to cut Medicaid. We're not going to cut Medicare and Medicaid, which the bill says is going to cut. So Trump's trying to, now that the bill's passed, he's trying to force Republicans not to cut these things because Trump realizes if he cuts these things, like the 11.8 million people or whoever, they're going to lose their insurance, lose their health coverage. They're going to point it right at Trump like it's Trump's fault. So he's trying to clean that up. I think, like I said, Trump doesn't think stuff through. But I agree with you, Cody. Like, businesses need to invest in their employees and offer salaries that are livable wages here in the country. That's what needs to happen. It's not going to happen, but that's what needs to happen. And it's crazy when you look at how much more CEOs make than the average person. Like the company that I'm working part-time for, they got this brand new CEO who started July 1st. His compensation package, I guarantee you, is through the roof, and it's probably 1,000 times more than what the part-time employee is making. When you break it all the way down, let's say you break it down to a 40-hour week, it's probably 1,000 times more. What is he doing? This new CEO is going to sit here and try to fix the things that the other CEO screwed up. Is it worth 1,000 times what the average person is getting paid? Nah. Nah. Said me and the economy go boom. Need the economy to go boom, bro. But we got some, like I said, it's gonna get scary. It's gonna get scary. But we'll definitely do a conversation about. We're gonna have a conversation about this, bro. We definitely gonna have a conversation about this. I want to get to this video with these podcast digest, which is basically a summary of Diary of a CEO episodes. The Diary of the CEO podcast is an episode on that podcast when they were talking to feminists, 3 different feminists. And this is what got me to thinking. I'm like, yeah, feminism is going to come full circle. And we're going to listen to the summary of the podcast. I linked the entire podcast in the description below. It's over 2 hours. Check it out if you get some time. It's definitely worth listening to because you hear the different factions and you hear the women not going at each other, but you hear the distinct differences. Like one's like, nah, that's wrong. That's not going to work. And the other's like, this and that. It's bro, it's definitely worth it. You know what I mean? Definitely worth it. So we're gonna do another conversation where we talk about wealth disparity. We're gonna talk about how it used to be versus how it is now. And bro, that's the only place where the money is, man. That's why people can't get full-time employment. That's why there's no benefit packages. This is why they go after unions. Bro, the only money in the corporations now is to take the money from labor. That money goes to the shareholders and that money goes into the coffers. But we're gonna get back to that. So let's check this out. Diary of the CEO, like this podcast that I found is Podcast Digest. They just summarize a bunch of top podcasts, bro. I thought it was pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So let's check this out. And if you guys can, please go and support Podcast Digest. Check them out. They do some good stuff over there. And also CEO, Diary of a CEO, definitely check that out. Really good podcast there. So we're not going to hear the actual voices of the people on the podcast. We're only going to hear the narrative from the summary. But you can go back and watch this. Like I said, it's clipped below. Check out the whole podcast. Diary of a CEO. This was a really good one. So let's check this out, guys.
They told women they could have it all. Career, sex, freedom. But what if that promise was a lie? In this video, we break down 10 explosive takeaways from the Diary of a CEO. One of them might change how you see everything. Takeaway 1. Feminism promised freedom but delivered guilt. The podcast begins by challenging the idea that feminism truly empowered women. Louise Perry says that second-wave feminism convinced women that success means having casual sex, working full-time, and handing over child raising to daycare. But instead of feeling free, many women feel trapped. Erica Komisar, who calls herself a maternal feminist, explains that feminism once respected motherhood, but later ignored it completely. Deborah Francis White adds that feminism has become something else women feel guilty about. She gives a strong example from her own life, explaining how growing up in a religious cult meant she had no sexual freedom. But after leaving, she discovered that full autonomy gave her the strength to build a meaningful life. However, she also admits that many modern women feel torn. If they work, they feel guilty about not being with their kids. If they stay home, they feel ashamed for not having a career. This idea that women could have it all turned out to be a myth for most. Instead of happiness, many women today feel burned out and unsure if their choices were truly their own or just what society told them they should want.
When you hear that, bro, when you hear that, and then, you listen to a lot of guys, in the manosphere and stuff like that, Myron Gaines comes to mind. People get mad at Myron for saying like women don't know what they want, they can't figure it out, they don't want accountability. Myron's not the only one that says this, by the way. He's just easy to use his name to use him because he's real vocal about it, and he's right. Like women buy into the whole feminist thing, waste their youth and beauty, right? They get into their 30s like, let me figure it out because I do want to be a mom and I want to do all this other kind of stuff. Let me find me a mate. Can't because of hypergamy. Can't find the guy she wants. Can't get the guy she wants. And trying to get that dude, right, what does she do? She uses sex. Well, I'm going to give him to Foxy Brown, and then he going to want to be with me. And you talking about a top-tier guy, right? We just said that, it was like 7%, maybe 8%. 8% of Americans make over $80,000 a year, and you're shooting for the guy who's making well into the six figures, $200,000, $400,000. What? Yeah, he's going to smash you. And women can't. And women are like, well, how come he can just take my body and then throw me away? Because that's the game. And then they get there and they're frustrated, right? So that's what I'm hearing here. It's like, well, ladies are starting to figure it out. And the young girls who are coming up are paying attention. They are seeing it like, okay. And they're listening to the manosphere. They're listening to red pill content. And again, a lot of these women are smart enough to figure it out. They're like, look, I hear what they're saying. Yup, he's right. Yup, that happened to Becky. I saw Becky. She got ran through. I don't want to be ran through. That happened to Sarah. Sarah's on OF. Won't no guys take her serious because she's on OF, right? And then Megan was on. She did adult film work. Now she got kids, and her kids are coming home crying because them boys, kids at school, and found her mom's, work, right? This is what's going on. Like, this is what's going on, and women are starting to figure it out. And women do tend to move as a herd. They move in groups. So, like, I think that the group is moving away from the radical side of feminism. I think they're going to begin to embrace, like, the softer side of the feminist movement. I think they're going to go back to traditional norms, but only after they secure their own education and make their own little money, put some money aside. And then I think they're all going to try to get themselves a top tier dude. But if they can't get him, right, they're going to go ahead and get, like Brad or Steven or whoever that they know loves them. And, is a bottom 80 dude's an invisible guy, but you know him back in the day. I think they're going to do that. That's what I think they're going to do that. And I think they're going to, get prenups because they watch James Sexton. And they're like, you know what? I'm making the money. Let me get a prenup. Right. And they're going to get, they're going to continue to, I think they're going to take the meat from both sides and blend it together, and that's going to look like it's come full circle. I think women want the traditional roles. They want a man to protect them. Let's continue.
Promised dream has become a burden that leaves women feeling exhausted and judged, no matter what they do. Now, let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 2. Women were sold a misleading dream. The sexual revolution brought changes that were supposed to help women, like birth control and safe abortion. But the message that followed was not just about choice. Louise Perry says it became a pressure. It was like society was saying that if you were a real modern woman, you should enjoy casual sex, work like a man, and leave your child in the care of strangers. Erica Komisar adds that this narrative made many mothers feel like failures unless they were constantly hustling, even if deep down they wanted to stay home with their kids. Deborah Francis White shares how she once believed feminism would remove shame, but instead it added new kinds. Now women feel ashamed if they do not climb the career ladder or if they do not enjoy hookup culture. These expectations have become a new kind of prison dressed up as freedom. A high school graduate watching this might think about how every path is sold as the right one. But when every path leads to pressure, people end up confused. This dream, which told women they could do everything and feel amazing, has turned into a setup for burnout, stress, and loneliness. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 3. Freedom became a prison for young minds. Erica Komisar explains that young people today are struggling not because they are weak, but because society has overloaded them with choices too early. The human brain keeps developing until about age 25. Giving full sexual freedom to a teenager or someone just out of high school is like giving a 10-year-old a credit card and expecting them not to spend it all at once. Louise Perry says we are now expecting girls to figure everything out alone. We say they are free, but they are really being thrown into the deep end without teaching them how to swim. Deborah Francis White points out that many young people are just copying what their friends are doing. They are not making real choices, just following the crowd. And when they mess up, they blame themselves instead of realizing that they were never truly guided. This idea of endless freedom with no support is actually making people feel anxious, directionless, and depressed. Instead of feeling free, they feel lost and alone. It is like giving someone 1,000 keys, but not telling them which one opens the door. Takeaway 4. Casual sex often leaves women hurting. Hookup culture.
Yo, and I see what this podcast is doing. It's faceless, is AI driven. Like, they use the AI to come up with the monologue there. I wonder how they're gonna do long term. I don't know how people gonna adjust to like the AI thing. I stopped watching, like, I like seeing a human there. I don't like hearing the AI voice in the background. Like, wait, that's AI. That's not a real person. So anyway, the points though are valid. The points are valid. Like, women are trying to figure this out. It's a lot of freedom. It's a lot of freedom. And, women are sitting there and you make your decision, you choose your path. And if it doesn't work out for you, you turn around and point to someone else and say it's their fault. And I'm the victim here. Ladies, this is what it looks like to be in command. This is what it looks like to be in control. You fought for this. You have the right to make the bad choice. And once you do, It's on you. You got to own it. Just that's what men do all the time. Men have all these rights, but dude, we have to go out here and do this stuff. If we make the wrong decision, we know we got to deal with it. We're responsible. At the end of the day, I chose this path. At the end of the day, Cody told me not to go outside because some dude had a shotgun and he was going to shoot me. I went outside anyway and I got popped. Right? Whose fault is that? It's my fault. I can't get hit and then dude done blew my leg off and I get mad at Cody. Doesn't work that way. It doesn't work like that. We have to hold the L's as well as the W's. And that's what I think a lot of women are having a hard time with. You know what I mean? You know, and everyone's lied to, like Cody was saying, like, and it is true. You know, it's, you know, everyone gets a trophy and, you know, we're all going to be nice. Everyone play nice, man. Dude, it's a dog-eat-dog world out here, bro. Right? Life is a full contact sport. Simple as that. And there's some people out here headhunting. Right? And I think a lot of women are having trouble when they realize this. You know, and what Mandrell is saying is like talking about women. What they want is ultimate freedom with zero responsibility. This is the thing. This is the thinking of a child. You know what I mean? He's going to tell you about, Mandrell, what's the name of that content creator that says that women are children or whatever you like so much? The real hood dude out of Chicago. You know what I mean? Right. And, you know, here's the thing. The women don't want the consequences, but they're saddled with them. They have to. So you guys know, like I took that part-time job and I work for a rental car company. I'm at the airport and I walk around the garage all day and I just basically inventory and make sure the vehicles are ready to be rented out. That's what the job entails. Now, the company would like me to do a whole bunch more. They want me like customer service and like pick up trash that you see laying around and, you know, do all these extra things, which I always remind them, like, bro, minimum wage gets you minimum effort. My minimum effort, however, is 100 times better than the average person who's in there. Because most people just walk around, they hide all day. They go in there for 6 hours, they hide for 5 hours, right? So it is what it is. I'm in there to walk around, get my steps in, and I'm gonna do the job to the best of my ability. That's the way I was raised, right? I'm a Gen Xer. That's how I was raised. If you're gonna do it right. So I do my best to do the best job, but I don't tolerate Karens. I don't tolerate those people to come over here, to start demanding or snapping their fingers. I know some dude was walking around screaming the name of the company, right? Trying to get my attention. He's screaming the name of the company. And I just kept doing what I was doing. I made the dude walk all the way towards, he probably had to walk about 40 yards. Didn't you hear me calling? I'm like, I thought you had Tourette's. I just heard somebody screaming the name of the company. I don't know what's going on with you. What's your, you know what I mean? Like, oh, hey, man. Teach his own, bro. This is the new world, bro. And he just stood there. He didn't know what to do. He just started laughing. He was like, you know what? I'm sorry, sir. I apologize. I could have said, sir. I'm like, I would have turned my head if you did, sir. And he was like, hey, man, can you help me out? Like, I got you, brother. Let's go over here and have a look. Right? So, but that's how I handle stuff. And the people are like, hey, man, aren't you worried the boss might come over and say something to you? Like, bro, $13 an hour? No, I'm not worried about nothing. Nothing. Just cut it out. You know what I mean? Can't help it. That dude, I told that dude to his face, like, I thought you had Tourette's. And I thought it was hilarious too, bro. Like, you don't walk around just screaming the name of the company and think I'm going to look. First thing you learn in the United States Army, probably the same thing in the Marine Corps. If someone is screaming, hey, you, or, you know, hey, Marine, or boot, or trooper, or whatever, if I tell folks, don't turn around. If they don't know your name, keep walking. Hey, you, keep walking until you get to a corner, hit that corner, and take off. That's the first thing I learned in the Army, man. If you don't know my name, I ain't turning around. Hey, you, you ain't talking to me. My name is not you. Private you is in B Company. I am Private Lewis. Right? That's how that works, bro. You know what I mean? That is how it works. Look at Cody like, thought you, I can't even read that, but yeah, bro. But he started laughing, man, because he knew what time it was, bro. He knew what time it was. And we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about the American class system. We have a class system over here, bro. People don't like talking about it, but we're going to talk about the American class system. Let's get back to the breakdown.
Has become common, especially among young adults, but the emotional impact is rarely talked about. Erica Komisar shares data showing that 72% of young men and 82% of young women feel anxious or depressed after casual sex. Louise Perry adds that casual sex tends to fit male desires more than female ones. Most men prefer more partners and less emotional connection, while women often seek bonding and emotional intimacy. Deborah Francis White says young women today are told to explore freely, but that often means ignoring their own feelings. It is like being told to eat cake every day when your body really wants a balanced meal. At first, it seems exciting, but after a while, it leaves you tired and confused. Erica warns that this kind of freedom creates emotional scars that last, especially when young women think they are supposed to enjoy it, but secretly feel empty. Many of them do not understand why they feel bad afterward, and they blame themselves instead of questioning the culture that pushed them into it. Now let's move to the next takeaway.
That part about men feeling bad after they smash, I don't know any dudes. I'm just anecdotally speaking. I don't know any dudes who would agree with that sentiment, bro. I just don't. Women, yeah, women, yeah. Like dudes, I mean, I'm sure they're out there. I mean, it is what it is, but most guys, especially top tier dudes, bro, like, man, it is what it is. Thank you, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. I mean, that term is a term for a reason. You know what I mean? I do feel bad afterwards. Afterwards, bro. Like, Cody, you be curling up in the bar, hugging a ball. You after you smash somebody, you be hugging your knees, asking her to stay. Like, why are you leaving? Is bro? Never. Man. Well, maybe in my mind, I'm thinking hookup. Like I felt bad with women I wanted to have a relationship with, or we were kind of going down that road, and then she leaves me just out of the blue, or ghost me, like they call it ghosting now. Might feel bad about that, but it wasn't about. I'm talking about the act itself. Like you go and you smash, and then she gets up, high five you, or whatever. She leaves, or you leave. I never felt bad about that, man. I never. You know what I mean? But again, maybe for dudes who don't get a lot of access to women, maybe them. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I need the pros to break that down for me, man. I don't know. I don't know. But I will say this though. One of the things that I like about walking around that garage working, right? Because I'm seeing people, you know, either coming to the city on vacation or flying into Tampa. Maybe they're going to go over to Orlando. Maybe they're going to drive down to, Sarasota or wherever. They're coming in, and you see them coming in with their families. You see them coming in individually. You see the boyfriend, girlfriend. You see the family. You see the newlyweds. You see the old couple, grandparents with grandkids. You see all this stuff, right? The other day I was walking around. There was this woman, and she was attractive. Older. I would say she was mid-30s. Tats. She had a whole sleeve, right? You could tell she worked out. Like one of the CrossFit type women, like she worked out. She was kind of buff for a woman. And she had one of those luggage carts that, and she had like 3 or 4 bags stacked on top of this cart. She had a lot of gear. And she's like pushing it to her, found her rental car. She pushed it, and I kind of saw her. And I went that direction. I didn't have much going on, but I went that direction mostly because I wanted to see if I can help her. Like, I was like, let me see if she needs any help. And I sat there because I'm doing my job. I'm able to do my job within eyesight because it's just a massive parking lot. So there's plenty for me to do. And I got one eye on her. Man, and she's loading up this car, bro, and she's sweating, man. She done dropped her cell phone. She's doing all this kind of stuff. She got the doors open and everything. And I walked over and said, hey, when you're done, don't worry about that cart. I'll take care of that cart for you. She's like, oh, thank you. And then, it took her about 10 minutes. Then I go over. She's just about done with the cart. She sees me coming, so she grabs the last little handbag off the cart or whatever, and I'll take it. And I told her how to get out the parking lot, just whatever. Let me get this for you. And I was thinking to myself, like, is this a feminist? Like, is this the life that she thought she would be leading and living as a feminist. Like I said, she was attractive, bro. And it's like damn, baby, no kids, right? You're here alone. You're buff, like you're in the gym, whatever. It's like you're living that alpha life. You trying to be a top tier guy. You up there, probably making good money. You know what I mean? Or rent yourself a car and everything. But you're sweating up a storm. Like I in my mind, in that moment, I thought that there's no way that this is what she signed up for. There's no way that she was 12, 13, 14 years old. Like, yeah, when I get 30, I'm going to be taking trips by myself, going to the airport with, 500 pounds worth of bags by myself, renting my car, having to drive myself to my hotel, check myself in. I'm just going to be doing this, me. There's no way in hell she signed up for that. You can't tell me that that's the life you want. You want to be in your mid-30s alone, right? Having to rely on you and only you. You wouldn't want a man to throw those bags in there, and you wouldn't want a man to share your travel stories with, like, you know what I mean? Like, or maybe you don't want a significant other. Like, it's just no way. There's just no way. I just don't believe it. Of course there's going to be some women who that's what they signed up for, but I just don't believe it, bro. You know what I mean? I just don't believe it. I mean, Cody's like, never, I should have done that. I shouldn't have done that moment. I've plenty of those, bro. I've had plenty of those moments. Going back to what we were talking about earlier, Cody. God, yes, bro. I've had plenty of those moments. You know what I mean? When you find out, like you said, like, bro, like, you find out that they're married or some shit. Yeah, you find out a long-term relationship, married, or they messing with someone that you loosely know. Like, what the hell?
Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah. But that's not, I'm talking about just the act itself. That's more along the lines of, oh, man, I shouldn't have done that. That was, it wasn't the act itself. The act itself, you're like, oh, that was cool. But the effects, yeah. And Brother Dino, like, do you remember that Eddie Murphy film when the woman leaves him behind and he leaves cash money on the side table? Yeah. That was Boomerang. And Eddie Murphy pulled the cover up. She was like, ooh, there you go. Yeah, that was Robin Givens played that role as that woman. He met his match. Yeah, that movie was called Boomerang, bro. I remember that. Hilarious. But yeah, man, like when I talk to women, like the feminism thing, it sounds good when you're young. Like when you're in demand, you're at your peak, right? You're just killing the game. Then as you get older, it's like, uh-oh. Right, wait a minute. I don't know if this is what I wanted. You get older still, and it's like, oh my goodness. And then you think about all the bodies, you think about all the dudes that you let smash, that, you think about all that, that girl boss, girl power thing. And it's like, look at you now. You just sitting here, and you've lost value in the sexual marketplace, not as a human, but just out there. So now, still trying to get a top tier dude. They still, okay, you still fine enough to smash, but they gonna send you on your way. And it's like, well, how do I get a relationship? And then, like they say, oh, you're gonna wind up settling. Okay, but if you're gonna settle, do it when you're at the top of your market. You're gonna settle for something better. Don't wait till you start to decline. Like, well, I'm gonna settle. Like, bro, even the dudes, like the invisible dudes ain't gonna want you. And that's where we are now. The invisible dudes don't even want you. You know what I mean? Let's continue.
Takeaway 5. Sex without connection leads to emptiness. The idea that sex can be casual and fun without any emotional cost sounds modern and cool, but the truth is often very different. Louise Perry says sex is one of the most intimate things people can do, and treating it like a handshake or hobby removes its emotional meaning. Erica Komisar adds that many young people give their bodies to others without knowing what they feel inside. Deborah Francis White shares how it took her years to understand what kind of intimacy and sexual connection she really wanted. Without emotional connection, sex starts to feel like a chore, or worse, like something that leaves you feeling used. It is like watching a sad movie and then pretending it was just a comedy. Deep inside, most people know something is off, but they are too afraid to say it out loud. That silence leads to loneliness, shame, and regret, especially when everyone else pretends they are fine. We're halfway through the video. Thanks for sticking with us.
All right, we're at the halfway point, so we'll leave it at the halfway point there and actually pull up the video. We're going to pull up a part where they were talking about the manosphere and trad wives. We're going to pull that part up so we can actually hear the women going back and forth. I think the only part with the podcast breakdown, the summary, you don't actually get to hear the conversation. I know why they're doing it and want to avoid copyright. I only got one copyright, and I got the copyrighted from that one YouTuber, and I'm gonna keep that copyright as long as they keep it on my record, because it was wrong what she did. She gave me a copyright strike, and YouTube upheld it because she was a feminist, and it came out, and her audience, which is like 95% male, got upset. It was like, what are you talking about? And I was reviewing it like, yeah, she's wrong. That's wrong. Da 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 da. She found a video. She wanted my video down so her guys couldn't find it. So, and YouTube allowed it. And again, that's a bad look, because she happens to be a woman, but this woman knew what she did was wrong and had no problems, right, doing whatever she had to do to get the video down. Even if it meant lying, even if it meant like, yo, right? Because it's like, how dare you? You are a review channel, solely a review channel. All you do is watch videos and give and collect money from guys who sit there and watch you cry and laugh and say silly things. You're reacting to Bill Burr, gold digging whore, right? That video, epidemic of gold digging whores. You're reacting to that video, and I'm reacting to you, and you hit me with a copyright strike. I was this close to calling up my friends, like, yo, hit up Bill, like, who handles his stuff? I was gonna reach out to them. It's like, yo, y'all need to hit her up, because she reviewed a bunch of his videos. Like, yo, copyright striker. Like, go ahead and get her to take those videos down. But then I'm like, you know what? I'm not petty like that, man. I'm gonna go ahead and let it ride. I'm gonna let it ride, because one day, I'm gonna be in a room with her, I'm gonna be in a room with YouTube, and I'll be able to point to it. And it's like, this is why y'all wrong, man. Because, anyway, my bad. My bad. But let's pull up this video. And that's just, and the way YouTube does business, man. I'm just waiting for that billionaire. It's going to be a billionaire who comes along, and they're going to put YouTube out of business. They're going to come in and change the game. It's just a matter of time before it happens. A billionaire is going to come along, invest $1 billion in a new startup, a new platform, and everyone from YouTube is going to go over to that new one. And YouTube is going to be begging people to come back and watch. And I'm waiting for that day. Waiting for it. Because YouTube, y'all know y'all wrong. I remember when y'all first started. Y'all went from where y'all started to where y'all are now. Y'all know y'all wrong. That strike was wrong. They knew that strike was wrong. And they made me take down the complete video. She was only on there for like 12 minutes of the video. And I went on to talk about some other stuff. So, no. People like, man, they were saying like, oh, just do the copyright class and you'll be fine. Like, no, it's the principle behind it, bro. It's the principle. I'm gonna keep that strike. Every time I go into my studio, I see that strike and it pushes me. You know what I mean? And it lets me know how petty people can be. Like this, and this person just happened to be a woman, but I see women doing that all the time. I told y'all a story about the big girl who couldn't fit into the rental car and what she did, screaming, helping, all this kind of stuff, trying to get a free upgrade, in my opinion. Cody, man, you weren't watching. I don't know if you saw that video when I told the story about the big girl who couldn't fit into the rental car, man. Bro, if you didn't hear me, let me know if you didn't hear that story, because I'll tell it again. I'll tell it again. But let's check out a little bit of debate. They're talking about the manosphere and trad wives. Let's check this out. Oh, man. Here we go.
I found this graph as well, which just shows the sort of explosion in people searching trad wife, which means traditional wife.
Yeah.
And it seems from 2024, there's been this real explosion in people searching for this trend. And you said something a second ago, Erica, about young boys in particular being more vulnerable, I think were your words, than the young girls that you're seeing.
Yeah.
So how do these ideas come together to and also link in and parlay into this word manosphere? Because this subject of manosphere has been at the very forefront of conversation.
Everything's a little out of balance. Everything's a little out of whack. So it was out of whack in the 50s. And so we fixed it. And now it's out of whack in a different way. We went from the patriarchy of men dominating women to now we have the patriarchy of women dominating men.
Y'all hear that? I told you this is mainstream, bro. This is mainstream. She is not red pill, man. Stop that. This lady right here. There we go. This lady right here. This lady right here is not mainstream. Correction, red pill. She ain't part of the manosphere. She's going to tell you why she has these views in a moment. But she's right. There's been an overcorrection. It needs to come back to the middle. But what's going to happen is going to swing all the way back to the other side again, which will be terrible. But y'all heard what she just said, right? And this other woman is about to challenge her right now. Right now. Oh man, I was talking about this is something that happened with me while I was at work at my part-time job, and I'll tell a story. I'll tell a story at the end, man. So don't go nowhere. I'll retell that story because you're gonna get a kick out of it. But let's listen to what she has to say. Man, let's listen to what she has to say. Like, we overcorrected. Let's hear what she has to say.
I mean, what we need to do is not go back, but come to the middle. We need to, it just makes common sense.
How are we dominating men, though?
Oh, my goodness. 60% of college students are women and graduate students.
That's not us dominating.
No,
men,
well, let me finish. Young men are afraid of women and the power they have over them to accuse. No, it's true. In universities, it's a real thing. I know because I have 2 sons. And, there is, again, the correction was necessary. We needed to course correct in society, absolutely. But we've gone so far. So the men were powerful and the women weren't. So the women said, give us some power. So now the women took the power and now the men feel powerless. You need a society that's balanced. It needs to be balanced. And the idea was that where we wanted to go, and the truth is that all movements often go to extremes. The women's movement, those women had to go to extremes because to change society, you have to do that, right?
So should some women not go to university? Is that what you're saying?
No.
And you see that she didn't say anything like that. She said nothing of the kind. She didn't say that. She's like, the power has shifted. Women have tremendous power right now. Any woman could go to a law enforcement official and say, Cody is king, did X, Y, and Z to me. And they'll be writing up paperwork trying to get Cody extradited to America. And like Cody, like, I ain't never met this woman. But they have that power. You saw what happened to the baseball player, Matt Bauer. That cost him his career, untold millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, because a young girl decided to lie on him. Right? And he went out and proved that she intended to do this from the beginning. She didn't like him at all. She was trying to get her hooks into him. She wanted money. She came in, she lied, ruined the man's life, and walked away with $300,000. She should be locked up for what she did. A Dose of Game just dropped a video on Cassie Ventura. We're gonna definitely talk about that, right? And like, man, shout out to Dose, bro, because that brother right there, man, shout out to Dose of Game. Like, he really keeps it true to the game. Like, when he talks about stuff, man, he's keeping it straight on line with the game, bro. He takes you to church every single time. And we're going to review that video. I'm going to try to, I might have to do it tomorrow, late night, probably doing it at 1 a.m, but I want to review that, right? So what Cassie Ventura did, I respect the way she ran the game. She come out of this $30 million up. You feel me? But all the money that the government had to spend to prosecute Sean Combs for being a freak, dude, a freak, surrounded by freaky people. Is he a piece of shit? Yeah, probably. Would I want to go one of his parties to do business with him? No. Right? Is that the kind of, is he a good guy? Nah, I don't think so. But a RICO case? Are you serious? And he wound up getting charged for flying women to him or flying women around and smashing them. So you guys thinking about flying some girl out, y'all might want to think twice. when they hit you, they might hit you with a case because she done decided to change her mind. Like, well, I don't know. He offered to fly me to Miami to take me to dinner. And then I just felt pressure to let him smash. So I let him smash. Well, did you agree to stay in the room with him? Well, yeah. But I mean, he had a nice suite, and I asked him to buy me my own suite. Well, why didn't you buy your own suite? He paid for your flight. He picked you up, paid for all your transportation, took you out, entertained you, fed you, and you wanted him to get you a room on top of it. Did y'all talk about it? Well, we talked. They're like, well, maybe we'll do a little something. Come on now, lady. We all know what time it is. But that's the government. That's the world we live in right now. So y'all guys thinking about flying somebody out? Man, you might want to think twice. Fly yourself out to a place like Thailand or the Philippines, you know what I mean? Colombia, Brazil, Spain, Portugal, France. Fly yourself out somewhere. Meet somebody, get some game. You know what I mean? Because they might get you. Yeah, fake case, public distraction, yeah. But that's a lot of money wasted, bro. A RICO charge for real? Damn, they went for it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, man. And here's the thing. Sean Combs was a billionaire. Go after the average dude, he threw. The average guy threw. And Sean Combs still might have to do some time, right? Even he still got 2 cases. Well, it was 2 counts that they found him guilty of. So who knows? He might get hit with 60 months or something like that. Who knows? We have to keep an eye on that one as well. But let's continue the video.
But actually, I think there needs to be a balance in society of men and women. If we say that we are going to be like Amazon women and not need men anymore, the truth is that the way it works is that by the research is that women will marry at their educational level or above, and men will marry at their educational level or below. That means that because we have fewer men in college and graduate school, women are not finding partners.
I'm just going to jump in there and talk about a report that came out in 2025, which sent shockwaves across the UK. It was called the Lost Boys Report. I think we might have talked about this in a previous episode, but it was a report by the Centre of Social Justice, which highlighted how many young men are now struggling in school, facing increased mental health problems and lacking positive role models, leaving them lost and isolated. And as a result, they suggested that many of them are turning to what we call the manosphere. And to give a definition to the manosphere, because I didn't actually know what it was, the definition I have from Cambridge Dictionary is manosphere includes websites and discussion groups focused on men's rights, which often oppose feminism in some way. And just to give a sort of a top line look at some of the stats around this, by age 5, 25% of boys in the UK are falling behind in language communication skills compared to just 14% of women. Yeah. At GCSE level, boys' results are on average half a grade lower than girls. The same applies for mental health and wellbeing. Obviously, we know about the suicide rates in young men. With nearly 3.5 times higher than those of young women. Eating disorders have risen as well in young men. And from an employment perspective, as of late 2024, 15.1% of men aged 16 to 24 were not in education, compared to 11% of women, which equates in the UK to about 550,000 men. And lastly, young women are between the age of 16 and 24 now earn nearly 10% more than their male peers, reversing the traditional gender pay gap in this age group.
Like this brother right here, man, I've been watching his content for a while. You know, like this guy actually, do like this. This guy actually turned down $100 million deal with some major media outlet for his podcast. He said no to $100 million. Like, shout out to him. Woo, boy, $100 million. But I think he did it because he wanted to maintain his autonomy. He wanted to be able to do what he wanted to do and not have to answer anybody. And shout out to him. He's truly independent. But the stuff that he said there, right? He's not a red pill guy. He had to look up the definition of red, like what's the manosphere, right? And this is why I keep saying this stuff is mainstream. Trust me, there are producers from BBC and CBC and NBC, right? And whatever they got in Australia and New Zealand that have watched this and are trying to, are going to cover this story if they haven't already done it. Right? There's people, they're going to cover this story. And the big thing is Women are beginning to out earn their male peers, and men are checking out from the workplace. Like, I think about like the part-time job I got. Like, dude, I think it's 50. It's more women that work there than men. There's more women that work there than men. Right? So for every guy that's there working, there's like 3 women, 2 or 3 women. Women are, I mean, they're dominating the work. Everybody got to get their money. Men are just checking out. Like, you know what? I'm going to get some government money, unemployment, disability, something, stay at home, do some online gambling or some day trading or whatever. I'm not going outside. I'm just going to make money off my phone. And women are going out here working, doing their thing. So things have changed. And like I said, this dude ain't red pill. This Steven guy, he ain't red pill. But he's going to continue to have this conversation. He's been talking about, the Lost Boys been talking about, you know, male loneliness. Scott Galloway's been on here. You know, Chris Williamson's on here. Like, he's bringing all the people to the table. And I'm telling you, man, the mainstream media, this guy's closer to mainstream than he is to the manosphere. So mainstream media is going to follow his lead. They're going to continue to watch these stories. So I'm gonna wrap it up, bro. I just think that, you know, I want to end with this, and then I'm gonna tell Cody the story. Young women are looking at what's going on right now. This technology allows them to look. Now, all the women ain't gonna make a move on this right away. This ain't gonna happen tonight. This ain't gonna happen tomorrow. This ain't gonna happen next week. But over the years, I think you're gonna see a shift. You're gonna have women who are like independent. They've gone to school. They're making their money. They're doing their thing. They found success. And those women are going to realize, just like those ladies talking to Jeff at some point, they're going to realize that, all right, I'm not going to be able to get the 1% guy. Not going to be able to get him. I smashed him. He took me out a few times. He flew me to France, and we went to Japan. But he's not going to commit to me, and I'm not okay with him smashing a bunch of other girls while he's with me. So it was fun, but I'm going to go and marry Billy over here. I think that's what the 5th wave of feminism is going to be. I think it's going to be women that decide, you know what, I'm going to find a guy that loves me, and I'm going to be with that guy, and I'm going to make him a sandwich every now and then. But I'm still going to work. Right? I'm still going to do that, but I'm going to grow within my partnership, because this is what they like to say now, partner. She's not going to find a husband. She's going to find a partner. That's why it still says it's still feminist, right? It's still there. But I think they're going to commit to their team, at least give him 7 years, 10 years. And if she doesn't like it, just pull the plug, get divorced. You know, I think these women are going to go in with prenups. The women that have something to lose, they're going to protect it. And at the same time, I think the laws are going to change in the family court. So I think feminism is going to come full circle. It's going to be back to where it began. Only women still have the right to vote. Women can work, whatever. So I think the 1st and 2nd wave feminists, all those gains are going to remain intact. And I think 3rd and 4th wave is just going to get pushed to the fringes. And I think that 5th wave of the 5th wave feminist is going to be the woman who is more analytical, and she's going to say, all right, you know what? I'm not going to end up like them women over there with a bunch of cats and a bunch of dogs, lonely, pushing, 5 bags on a bag cart through a garage to a rental car by myself, going on trips by myself, not having anyone to share my life with. I don't want to do that. I think those women are going to look at it like, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to be on OF. I don't think they want to do that. I'm not going to sell myself. I'm not going to get into adult films, right? I'm going to chill out on the hookup culture, right? I'm going to take my time, right? Because there's a lot of women out there like, man, they don't like it, and they're going to get caught up. They're going to go to college. They're going to get caught up. They're going to smash a few dudes and be like, you know what? I know better. Let me stop. I think you're going to get that. And I think women are going to slide into that gender role. Like, I'm gonna learn how to cook. I'm gonna clean. I'm gonna fulfill my roles as a wife. And then my husband's gonna fulfill his roles as a husband. The only thing that might be flipped on his head is the wife might be making 150,000 and the husband might be making 80. So the wife is making more money, but she's happy with her situation. So she's gonna ride it out for at least 5 years, 7 years, maybe 10 years, and then reevaluate. I think that they're gonna look at it, they're gonna see all these women who got divorced, that had great husbands, a great family, got divorced thinking something was gonna be better on the other side, that the grass is greener on the other side. I think they're gonna these young girls are watching. Like, yeah, that Tia Mallory chick, she divorced, left her good husband, broke up her family, only to realize that them dudes don't care nothing about her, and she tried to come back and the dude wouldn't take her back. I don't want to do that either. I don't want to mess up my family. Right? I'm gonna learn how to make my partnership, my marriage work, whatever the case may be. I think that's going to be the fifth wave. I could be wrong. You know what I mean? Feel free to hit me up in the comments below. Let me know what y'all think. But I think the fifth wave of feminism is going to be, like I said, back to the way it used to be. I think you're going to have women who like, yeah, I make my man a sandwich. Like, yeah, I'm happy. I have my children. I don't have a bunch of dogs and ferrets and whatever. Like, yeah. I don't want to end up like that. I think you're gonna see that. I think you're gonna have women like, I don't want to end up childless and lonely. Like they say by 2040, 2030, 2040, half of America, half of women between 23 and 35 or something like that, or 40 are gonna be childless. I wish Brother Pitney was here. He'll run the stat right to us. You know what I'm saying? But I think these young girls, like, I don't want to wind up like that. They don't see it like, I don't want to end up like that. So I'm gonna be more traditional. So that's what I think is gonna happen. So all right, let's do a quick story time.
Everybody sit down, please. It's story time. It's story time.
All right, Cody. We talked about this a couple of days ago on one of the lives I did. So I'm at work, right? And I'm here in Tampa. I work in a garage, but it's like an open garage. You know what I mean? Like a massive garage. Like at the airports, you have those big, massive garages, right? So they have, hundreds and hundreds of cars parked, and I'm just doing my job. Now, mind you, I'm in Tampa. It's 90 degrees, and it's humid, bro. Like sticky, man. This is swampland down here, bro. And this is one of the reasons why I like doing this little gig, because it keeps me moving around. And I'm losing weight like crazy. I've been spending way too much time on the sofa. My family and friends have been like, yo, you need to get off this sofa before you kick the bucket. So I'm like, all right, cool. I found this gig. So I'm walking around the garage, sweat it out. You know what I mean? I'm funky. It is what it is. Greasy because all of the exhaust and stuff, it lands on you, bro. So I'm all greasy and shiny, but whatever, it is what it is. And I look up and they have these big double doors that lead to the terminal. So people are coming in from the landing, coming through. They come outside and then the heat just jumps on them, bro. And like I said, it's 90 degrees, bro, and it's humid. So this woman comes out. And this woman, man, she had to be, bro. Man, she was short, man. Maybe 5'5", bro. Probably 300, 350 pounds. She was a big girl. She came out, and she was moving slow. When that door opened, bro, it was like she got punched. It was like the humidity was like, how? Welcome to Tampa. She was like, oh. And, man, she was moving slow. And, like, the way this company works, like, you can make reservations, and it can all be done virtually. Like, they will send you an email that tells you where the vehicle is, like what parking slot is in. There's it's a letter and a number, and you just go straight to the vehicle. Get the vehicle, and you drive out. They do a final check when there's a gate you got to go through, and they do a final check there. So the vehicle's there. I watched this woman walk from the door to her vehicle, which was really close to the door. Kind of like she got lucky. It wasn't, you can walk over 100 yards, like a whole football field away. The garage is massive. But hers, man, it couldn't have been no more than 40 yards. So she's walking, and like, bro, it must have taken her a good 30, 40 minutes to get to the car, bro. We talking about a 2-minute walk, not even. She was moving slow, bro. So I was like, and I get it. It's hot. She's big. You know, so I'm moving around doing my thing. You know, there's a lot going on. I'm doing my thing. She finally made it to the car. I remember seeing that. And I'm doing my thing. I'm doing something. I'm on the other side of the parking lot. And out of the blue, man, you hear it. Female voice screaming, help. Just screaming, help. And I looked to my left. I knew who it was. Bro, I knew who it was. Looked to my left, and sure enough, it's the big girl. And the car was a compact. It was a small car. And like a Toyota Corolla type size, like a small, like Honda Civic, like small. I knew it was her. And the big double door I was telling you about is always people coming back and forth. She started screaming help. Just regular folks like customers, men just start running over. Like 2 or 3 guys ran over that didn't work for the company. Then, of course, people who work for the company were running over there. It had to be like a dozen or so people over there looking at this lady. And I'm walking, and there was a woman next to me. She, a woman probably in her 30s or 40s. She had a couple kids or whatever, her husband, like family. And the woman was like, aren't you going to go over there? I'm like, why? Like, don't you hear the lady screaming? The lady's screaming. You should go over there. I'm like, she's right there. There's nothing wrong with her. I can see her. Can't you see her? She's right there. Look. But she was screaming. You should go over there. I'm like, nah, I'm not going. Look at all those guys over there. Right? And it wasn't like confrontational between her and I. She just was shocked that I didn't jump and run over there. No, I'm not dealing with that. You know, if no one had gone over there, I'm sure I would have. But, dude, there was tons of people over there. And then within 20 minutes, paramedics are over there. Law enforcement is over there. You know, this woman, she's just sitting there screaming, help or whatever. And I think she had managed to get into the vehicle, then started screaming help. Paramedics and all that helped her out. They managed to get her out of the vehicle, if memory serves. And, you know, they had her on a gurney for a minute. They were, you know, giving her oxygen. I assume it was oxygen. They had a mask on her face, doing all this kind of stuff. And then they leave. She stays. She stayed there. She didn't leave. She tried to get back in that car again. Bro, she tried to get back in that car again. And then about 40 minutes later, she starts screaming again. Only this time, I happened to be a few feet away. I was so upset. And they had a brand new supervisor who was working. He was there. So I'm like, oh, man. So I get, you know, he's like, man, should I call 911? I'm like, yeah, you call 911 on that phone. I'm going to go to the office over here. I'm going to call the airport police and see if we can't get them to get the paramedics over here again or whatever. So we do that. And she's in the car, you know, screaming. Paramedics come again. This time they take her away. And bro, I felt bad for the woman because she was, I mean, like, man, she's a big girl. And I think, and I could be wrong, I don't know what happened, but what I believe what she was trying to do, I think she was trying to upgrade to a bigger car, but she didn't want to pay the higher cost. Like, you can upgrade all day long, you just got to pay the different price. I don't think she wanted to pay the price. Like, you know, maybe she accidentally booked the wrong class of car. She thought she was booking a bigger car, but it actually was smaller. I've done that before. You're looking at the price. It's like, oh, man, $12 a day. Oh, yeah, let me get that. And you realize it's not the car that you normally, you know, it's not the size that you need. And then you get there and it's like, all right, you booked that. That was a special online price. Now you got to pay the real price plus the additional fees to get the bigger car. I don't think she wanted to do that. I think that her goal was to make a scene that's big enough that they'll feel sorry for her and they just give her a free upgrade. Well, they didn't do that. She didn't get a free upgrade. In fact, she left. The paramedics took her away the second time. But, I mean, it just is, bro, trying to get, yep, look at it. Cody was like, trying to get a free upgrade. See? You see how, like, a lot of people look at stuff and it's like, man, this is just too much to be doing what you're doing. It's just way too much. I think she was trying to get a free upgrade, bro. And yeah, greasy, man. Like, when I come home, first thing I do, I jump in the shower, man. Like, greasy, bro. Greasy. But I think for now, this works for me. This works for me because I get to work the shifts that I want to work. I have freedom you know, if I go take a real job, bro, that's, you know, even if you're working from home, bro, you committed. Like, you have to be there. It's not, hey, I need Friday, you know, I got to go take my daughter to band practice, or I'm going to do this or that. You're there, but you're on your phone conducting business. You got to bring your computer with you. It still works. So right now, I'm like, I'll just do this little thing, and then we'll see where it leads. You know, I still do this podcast. I'm producing the second podcast. We're doing, we have my buddy Izzy and I, we started the Pillars of Success. It's a networking organization. We started that. So we have in real life events. So, and I still do comedy. So I need the freedom to be able to do what I need to do. So for now, I'm going to stay with these people. But yeah, man, people are gross like that, man. Like little shorty just trying to get that wasted emergency resources twice. And here's the thing. When the paramedics came back the second time, I asked them, I'm like, who pays for this? Like, does she pay for this? And he's like, nah, the taxpayers. What? The taxpayers got to pay for this? Now, when they took her away, I think she'll get a bill for that ambulance ride, and she goes into the emergency room. If she has insurance, you know, it's more than just a copay. You're going to have to pay a little extra. So it might cost her a few $100s, but bro, twice? Oh, you saying, nah, she greasy. Right. My bad, bro. My bad. Nah, I feel you. But yeah, man, that's, you know, some of the things that you see, you know what I mean? I guess I get to sit back and watch human nature, bro. And next time we get together, man, we'll talk about the American class system. Like, we have one. You know, and people like, America doesn't have a class system. Like, yes, we do. We have a class system, and we've always had one. We probably always will have one to an extent. So we'll talk about that, man, because it's, you know, I'm going from a position where, you know, I left my career where I was making hundreds of thousands of dollars, 150 and up, depending on the year. You know, like controllers now making close to 300. Some are making over $300,000 with all the overtime that they're working. So you come from that field to working minimum wage as the guy who goes around and does like the basic. This is the no thinking job, right? You just walk around with the scanner and you just beep and you do what the little box tells you to do, right? No thinking, it's easy. So you go from that. Like, the same guy went from keeping airplanes from bouncing off each other, you know, a job where life and death is on the line every single day, to a job that anyone can do, basically an invisible man kind of thing, walking around, right? I really see it. I really see it. And I've always known it. I've always seen it. This is why when I go out, especially if I'm out at dinner or if I'm out doing something, and I see the service people, you know, the servers who are working and all that kind of stuff, like the valet guys and, you know what I mean, like the bar backs, I'm always doing my best to acknowledge them and see them. Like, I really appreciate that. Thank you. Tipping them when I can. Like, thank you so much. I do my best to come out there because, you know, like, that's the lower class. That's the lower class. And then when you're out kicking it with the millionaires and like I said, I've met a few billionaires in my day. I met 3. Right? It's a different world. Like, we'll talk about that on the next show, man. We'll talk about that. But that's it, man. 5th wave feminism, bro. I'm telling you, the 5th wave is gonna be a push to traditional norms, gender roles. I think women are going to embrace gender roles to a point, and I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to have their money, they're going to have their careers, they're going to have their degrees, put their little money aside. But I think they're going to find dudes that are good enough for them and get their families. I think the families are going to take priority over the careers. And I also believe that these same women, the 5th wave of feminism, I think they're going to be responsible for changing family court laws and redoing the way America handles custody and stuff like that, spousal support, child support, and all that kind of stuff. I think these are the women who are going to be responsible for making those changes. Let me know what you guys think. Leave them in the comments below. Appreciate y'all. Now I have to take my daughter to this go-kart, arcade, bowling, entertainment complex thing. We were supposed to go at noon. She said she would be up, but of course she wasn't. She wasn't. So we're going to go do that. Go spend some quality time with my not so little one. So I appreciate you guys rocking out with me, man. Thank you so much. Next video, hopefully we'll have one between now and Friday. Hopefully. If not, it'll be next Monday, but I'm gonna do at least one video a week. We're gonna try to do 2. Shoot me some ideas if you have any, man. Just let me know what y'all thinking. And I got to get out of here. Thanks for rocking out with me, man. I'm DL Saint. This is That Really Want to Know podcast. I'm going to talk to y'all later. Peace.
Nothing like I've ever seen. It's just a thing of beauty.
Darn, that's the end.